What is up, guys? My name is Harry Rice and welcome back to the channel. Today is a brand new video in 25 Days of Harry. Today is the 14th, and as you can probably tell by the resized screen, I'm going to be doing my season rankings video. And I just want to clear some confusion. The other day I did ranking every NHL team. For those who apparently didn't listen to the beginning of the video, I clarified. It's based on my personal rankings, how much I dislike or like a team. That's the reason the Oilers were at the bottom and the Habs were at the top. Because I love the Canadiens and the Leafs, like the Islanders, the Golden Knights, all those teams. And I hate the Sharks, Oilers, and Predators, I think I had as the bottom three. So this video is going to be me giving my predictions for the 2021 season of the NHL that starts in literally just under a month now, if everything goes according to plan, which I think it should. As you see, I do have the divisions. I have the divisions labeled Canadian, Eastern, Southern, and Western. I was going to take a note from the hockey guy and name them it was like the Richard, Gretzky, Lemieux, and something else divisions. But I thought, nah, I'll keep it simple. I'll name them Canadian, Eastern, Southern, Western. We're going to start with the Western, go to Southern, Eastern, and then finish with the Canadian division. Without further ado, we are going to begin. The worst team in the Western Division should be no surprise. It's going to be the San Jose Sharks. There's a reason I had them as my least favorite team in the NHL. It's because they're awful. Yes, they have a decent offensive core. Their defense is shit, and they just didn't even improve their goaltending in the offseason. Devin Dubnyk is not an upgrade on Arundel. I'm just going to tell you guys that now. The Sharks are going to be bad, and I guarantee it. They're going to try and trade their first-round pick at the beginning of the year to get good, and then they're going to end up giving away a 2 ratty, because why not? So the San Jose Sharks, they're going to be the worst team in the Western Division. The second worst team in the Western Division is going to be the Arizona Coyotes, who also do miss out on the playoffs. Arizona, I think after losing Taylor Hall, are going to take a massive step backwards. Technically, they did get into the playoffs last year by beating a depleted Nashville squad that wasn't good anyways. But Arizona, I think they are going to take a step backwards. I do think there is a line. It's like, say, San Jose's here, and then Arizona's probably like here. So while San Jose is going to be like bottom of the basement of the NHL, again, as they always are, Arizona's going to be like, they have a bit of a fighting chance, but not really. So yeah, I do think that Arizona has a slight chance to make the playoffs. However, with Phil Kessel as their only real presence as a really good offensive powerhouse that's really only really great on the power play, even though I do love the hot dog man himself, I don't see Arizona getting into the playoffs. Their goaltending is fantastic with Darcy Kemper. It's just their defense. I have so many questions about their defense, if they can recover, and how they're trying to cut salaries, but they want to try and get good. It's a confusing time in Arizona. Next up is the Anaheim Ducks. I spaced these logos too close together. My apologies. But the Ducks, they have a bright future. They definitely have a bright future, I think. This year could be an interesting one. I could see them potentially being a wild card and getting into the playoffs in the Western Division. As of right now, I think they're doing it 4-4. I don't know if they're going to range it to like, three teams in the Canadian Division and 5 in the Eastern are able to make it, then we'll do it like that. Or if it's going to be 4-4, which in that case it likely means a sub 500 team in the NHL makes the playoffs, considering not every division is strong. Not every division is as strong as I think it's the Eastern Division, or the Southern Division. I forget which division it is. It's one of those two. But Anaheim, they have a solid future. Right now they're decent. I could see them being competitive, but I don't see them getting into the playoffs all that much. I mean, unless Getzlaf turns back the clock a few years. But I could see this team being a decent one and a pretty competitive one. At number 5 for the Western Division, just barely making the playoffs. This is a bit of a hot take, but I could see them potentially sneaking into the playoffs. But as of right now, I do have them missing, unless it's 3 in the Southern somehow and 5 in the Western. But I have the Los Angeles Kings. The Los Angeles Kings are a fantastic team for the future. I think the Kings are going to be a great team. Personally, I really, really enjoy what this Kings team has for the future. They have really solid goaltending for the future, it seems. They have some solid defense and some really, really good offensive pieces. Of course, while still retaining their core right now, I believe Kopitar, Carter, and Brown, I believe, are all still there. Building around these core guys for now and having the young guys that can be in the back for now, not have a huge amount of pressure on them. No one, I don't think, in LA has a huge amount of pressure on them anyways, except for Jonathan Quick to rebound after a very, very bad season last year. I think everyone is going to get it together, and I think they're going to be really, really competitive, and I think they could be a pretty solid team. They're probably my hot take in the Western Division to overcompensate for what they're doing. I think they could end up being really solid. So yeah, the Kings, I could see them being a wild card, literally a wild card. So number 4, and these are the teams we're getting to the teams that's kind of like a no-brainer they're going to be in. But number 4, I see St. Louis. They didn't upgrade on Pietrangelo. They instead, for some reason, went out and got Torrey Krug, who I do like Krug. It's just Krug is no Pietrangelo. But St. Louis, I did see them doing some decent things. I mean, even though they did get rid of Jake Allen, trading him to Montreal, who we will get to later, obviously. I don't know if they necessarily upgrade their backup role. I understand they did trade Allen to make room to make cap for Pietrangelo, and then they didn't end up re-signing Pietrangelo, so that whole thing was kind of awkward and kind of a crapshoot. But St. Louis, I think they have a really solid offensive core. If Tarasenko can stay healthy, then their offensive squad should be even better than what it was last year and the year before, most likely. Their defense is still decent. I think they do have some good pieces aside from Justin Falk. And their goaltending is a question mark because Binnington had a bad postseason, and their backup, I can't remember his name for the life of me for some reason. I should have looked it up beforehand. But he's not proven himself in the NHL yet. Who knows? Maybe he could be another Binnington where he comes up and he ends up doing a really damn good job because St. Louis, for some reason, seems to have decent goaltending all the time. Third, I do see the Dallas Stars somehow beating out the St. Louis Blues. They have Anton Khudobin in net, so it is an upgrade on Ben Bishop, who was going to be out, I think they said, the first 3 months of the season, which is huge. That's almost half the season, if not most of the season, actually, right now. Yeah, because they're starting in January. They want to finish, I think, April. So that's pretty much a majority of the season, or at least I think they want to finish in April. But their defense is still a bit of a question mark. I do see it maybe taking an upgrade because of John Klingberg and I can't remember who the other guy, John Klingberg, and the rookie, their rookie defenseman. I forget his name. God damn it. And their offense, I think, even though they do lose Seguin for the first 3 months of the season as well, or I think the whole season. I think 5 months is how long he's out for. I do think they could capitalize on that. I do think they could take someone who's looked promising, maybe someone like a Dennis Gurianov as a bit of a hot take, but someone like a Gurianov, or maybe they switch guys in and out depending on how they're performing, and they try and see who fits and who gels with Ben and Radulov likely as on that first line. I could see them doing decent. I think the Stars have a good amount of depth that they could not repeat going to the Stanley Cup Finals, but I think they could definitely pull something off here that ends up being really solid. And I think the Stars, they're going to finish within the top 4 and make the playoffs in the Western Division again. I'm not giving playoff predictions. I'm just giving season predictions, by the way. Number 2, it should be a no-brainer. Colorado and Vegas, they're the last remaining 2 teams. Vegas is going to win because they have Robin Lehner in net with Marc-Andre Fleury backing him up, which is a nutty goaltending tandem. Very expensive one at that as well. They have a really solid defense. Adding Alex Pietrangelo, I think, massively helps out their defense, even if it means getting rid of Nate Schmidt, which arguably isn't the best move for them to make. Their offense looks solid as usual. They do have some decent prospect coming up, like Nick Waugh, who did play a little bit last season. Though them getting rid of Pacioretty does make sense. Pacioretty has never really won anything anywhere he goes, so it makes sense why they would want to get rid of him. Even though I do like Patches. I do like Patches as a player. He's a solid 30-goal scorer. But Vegas, probably best they do get rid of him. They do have some really good players. I really like Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson. They're pretty solid. Getting rid of Paul Stastny, I think, arguably is a good idea because it could move Nick Waugh into that top 6 role, that top 6 center spot, which I think he could fit really well in. So yeah, the Vegas Golden Knights, They're going to top the Western Division, and Colorado, they're going to be right behind them. I think it's going to be a neck and neck race between Vegas and Colorado for who wins the Western Division, not the Vegas Division, the Western Division. Personally, I think, with a top line of Landeskog, Rantanen, and McKinnon, you almost can't go wrong at this point. They have really, really great offensive depth, really cheap blue line as of right now. Don't forget, McCarr's about to come off of a contract, and I think so is Ryan Graves, unless he's the one that just came off his current contract. Their net minding does have a bit of a question mark if Francouz and Grubauer are able to handle being the starters. They technically could do like a 50-50 thing. They give half games to each goaltender. I'm not sure I'm not 100% sure how they could go about that, but I think they potentially could make it work. I think Colorado could make it work with the defensive structure they have. The defensive structure they have while being incredibly offensive. They have a good defensive game when they have to be, and they can play really well offensively as well. So, Western Division should be a pretty fun one to watch this year. Going into the Southern Division, this one is very, very, not loosely named the Southern Division. For me, it's more so because you do see some Southern teams in here. They're probably going to name it the Southern Division. I don't know why I'm justifying myself. Last place should be a no-brainer. Unfortunately, it is going to be the Detroit Red Wings. They're not going to be as bad as they were last year, though. I don't think they are going to be the laughingstock of the NHL. That is always going to be the San Jose Sharks. But the Detroit Red Wings, I think they are unfortunately going to be the worst team in the Southern Division. However, they are going to be tied kind of with the Chicago Blackhawks. It's a bad time to be a Chicago or a Detroit fan. If you're in a coma since, say, 2015, when both these teams are still really solid, you wake up now and you're like, all right, what did I miss in hockey? And you're told the Blackhawks are rebuilding and so are the Red Wings. You're like, the fuck happened? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why Chicago's rebuilding. I mean, I understand why. They do want to get some good young superstar talent like they have with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. For the future, they do want to build that. They could potentially go after a Ratty and Shane Wright, which Jesus, that would be naughty on Chicago. Their offense is decent. Their defense is good. And of course, their net minding is a big question mark if they can get it done. Detroit, they have a really good offensive core, I think. Adding Bobby Ryan, I really like that move for them. Defense looks decent. It will definitely get better for the future. And their goaltending is not bad. I could have put Detroit over Chicago, and people probably would have been like, it kind of makes sense. But those two, I think it is going to be kind of like a swapping back and forth, like who's going to be worst in the Southern Division. But I do think it will be one of Detroit or Chicago. But right now, I unfortunately do see Chicago being above Detroit. Or I see Detroit being under Chicago. And I only say that because I want Detroit to get better. Next up, this is going to be a bit of a hot take, since I'm sure a lot of people are... this is going to be a safe bet to make the playoffs for some people. But for me, it's kind of a safe bet that they missed the playoffs. And that's the Nashville Predators. I don't see what a lot of people see in the Nashville Predators. I think their defense is incredibly overrated, personally. Roman Josi is nowhere near the best defenseman in the league. I personally think that would probably have to go to Victor Hedman, maybe, most likely. Their offense is nothing special. Signing Matt Duchene to that $9 million contract per year, I understand why he took it. It's just, Jesus, Nashville. Nashville's becoming a lolcow again. Nashville is becoming a lolcow. The last year of Pekka Rinne is going to be filled with a lot of misery, most likely. While UC Saros takes the net before Yaroslav Askarov comes in 3 years and bitch slaps him away. Ends up going to free agency, UC Saros, and ends up signing with some team and immediately wins the cup. Because Nashville players like winning cups elsewhere. Nashville does not like winning cups. Nashville's just not a great team. But it was kind of a no-brainer. I had to put them over Chicago and Detroit. They're not rebuilding, so Nashville kind of gets an automatic bye into the top 6 in the division. Good job, Nashville. Number 5, this is also going to be a bit of a hot take. A lot of people see this team making the playoffs, and a lot of people see the team above them missing the playoffs, but I have them swapped, and that is Minnesota missing the playoffs and the Florida Panthers making the playoffs. This is a bit of a hot take for me. Minnesota, I think they really, really did not improve their team in the offseason. Trading out Eric Stahl and not even giving an offer to Mikko Koivu, in my opinion, is a big yikes. You want to improve the team at center, so you go ahead and you get rid of Eric Stahl, bring in Marcus Johansson, who can't even play the center well as of right now, and then you don't even offer a contract to Mikko Koivu, who could have been a solid third, fourth line center for the Wild. I don't think the Wild upgraded their team. Their defense is not all that great. Net minding is definitely a weary situation for them because they do have Alex Stalock as their starter, likely, unless they got someone and I don't remember it. But I think trading out Devin Dubnyk was probably for the better for them, and the fact they got Ryan Donato out of it is pretty interesting. But I think Minnesota just barely does miss out the playoffs, and Florida, Bobrovsky needs to have a bounce-back year. If Bobrovsky has a bounce-back year, then they could definitely make the playoffs. They could probably even be a third seed over the team I have right above them. But Florida, I want them to make the playoffs. I want a battle of Tampa Bay in the first round, and spoiler. But I want a battle of Tampa Bay in the playoffs. I want to see how that thing works out. Even though it likely results in a Tampa Bay sweep, and Florida going on to the second round. They've got a good offense. They've got a really solid offense. Even though they didn't bring back Dadonov or Hoffman. Jesus, Florida. Their defense is meh. In my opinion, it relies entirely on Barkov and Huberdeau working together. And I think if Bobrovsky can pull himself together and turn into a good goaltender, then Florida should make the playoffs. Keyword being should. Should. Number 3 in the Southern Division is the Columbus Blue Jackets. They have a really good defensive structure. Adding Max Domi doesn't really help them all that much, in my opinion. Yes, they get a second-line center that is decent enough, but I think Domi's a guy that has one good career year with those 70, 78 points, something like that, 74 points 2 seasons ago. I don't see Domi clicking well in Columbus, personally. I want him to. I really like Domi. But I don't see him clicking with the defensive structure of Columbus, you know. I personally do think that he is going to struggle off the bat. And keep in mind, with the I think they said it's a 63 or 56 game schedule or something like that. If Domi doesn't get at least 30 points, then that looks bad. This looks like a bad trade for the Columbus Blue Jackets. For a lot of people that are saying Columbus wins the trade immediately, Josh Anderson's looking like he could be good in Montreal. I'm just going to say... You know, I think Columbus, with the goaltending they have, which is really solid of Merzlikins and Korpisalo, just despite the addition of Domi, I think they have a good team around him. Defense is really solid, of course. Offense is really good. I think with Pierre-Luc Dubois leading the front there, I think Columbus could be a solid click for the playoffs. Second in the division, we have the Hartford Hurricanes, the Carolina Whalers. The kind of should be a no-brainer for the playoffs. They have a decent goaltending. They have decent goaltending. They have a really solid defense. Any defense with Dougie Hamilton is going to be really good. After all, of course, I do have the jersey card of his. I gotta point that out whenever I can. My apologies for slamming on my desk right there. I almost fell off my chair. I don't know how. I will more than likely edit that out of the video. My apologies. Or at least lower the volume very much so nobody gets ear raped. But any defense with Dougie Hamilton is going to be a really good one. And their offense is just amazing. Aho, Smashnikov. I think they added Dadonov, if I remember correctly. Eric Haula, I've heard they're in the running for if they can get him. But the offensive core that they have right now is really, really solid. I really like what Carolina is doing. And the fact that they're able to make the playoffs consistently now, I like that because Carolina is a really solid team for the future and for now, actually. I think Carolina is one of those teams that should be good for the next 5 or 6 years, and I could see them potentially winning a Stanley Cup if they make the right moves. And, of course, number 1, it's Tampa Bay. They have a decent goaltending, really, really damn good offense. Or defense, sorry. Offense is pretty solid even without Stamkos. They've proven by winning the Stanley Cup. Even if I don't like them, they're likely going to win the Southern Division. I don't need to talk too much about them. Everyone knows about Tampa. Let's just move on to the Eastern Division. Last place, it's going to be Buffalo. Second last place, Buffalo. Buffalo is going to be the worst team in the Eastern Division. Even though they added Taylor Hall for a year, they're not going to be great. I'm sorry, but adding Taylor Hall, a locker room cancer like that, does not improve your team. Getting Mike Hoffman or an Evgeny Dadonov, that improves your team. Adding cancer, one-year wonder Taylor Hall is not going to improve the Buffalo Sabres. They still have Jack Eichel and Victor Olofsson. Maybe Jeff Skinner if he can rebound off his 40-goal season. And then having a terrible year. I think it's 6 goals, which is nuts. If he can rebound like that, that would be solid for the Sabres. $9 million per. Just remember that, guys. For me, I definitely think with Jeff Skinner, or with Buffalo, their offense is decent. They don't have a ton of depth. They're decent. Their defense is meh. They have Ristolainen and Dahlin, which isn't great. Isn't that great? But for me, I think their goaltending is a big question mark. If their goaltending sucks, then this team is going to suck, which means this team is going to suck, unfortunately. Second last is going to be New Jersey. They're going to improve on last year, though. Just like in the Western Division, I think there is a line from Buffalo to New Jersey. It's not as wide as like San Jose and Arizona, but it's like Buffalo and New Jersey. Jersey is going to be clearly better than Buffalo, I think. After they got rid of Taylor Hall, shocker, they improved. They started winning more last season after losing Taylor Hall. I do have them out of the playoffs because for the last 2 seasons, people have seen them in the playoffs and they've missed. I'm predicting them to miss the playoffs because it's the New Jersey Devils. They're not great without Scott Niedermayer. But yeah, the New Jersey Devils, they have a decent goaltending. They have decent goaltending. I mean, they do have that Mackenzie Blackwood. I almost said Scott Blackwood. I was thinking of Scott Wedgwood. Their defense is decent. Even if they have PK Subban, it's actually not that great, but it's decent enough, I guess. Their offense is still really young. I think their goaltending is gonna win them a couple games. But for the future, New Jersey should be covered. I think New Jersey is going to be decent. Third last sixth in the division is going to be the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are going to fall out of the playoffs this year, I think. Even though they have Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, they still have some decent goaltending with UC Saros, Matt Murray and blank. Who's the Tristan Jarry? With Tristan Jarry, and I believe I forget if they said they're using, I can't think of their third goaltender from last year. They're using him as their backup, the guy who cleared waivers. I forget his name, but I forget if they're going to be using him as the backup or if they're going for someone else. But Pittsburgh, they did not improve their team by adding Kasperi Kapanen. They didn't improve their defense that much this year. They let go of Justin Schultz, who had 2 good years and then has fallen off a cliff. So that was, if anything, actually probably a good thing. Didn't re-sign Jack Johnson, so that was a good thing. But I don't know if John Merrill can carry this team. Or John Marino, sorry. I don't know if John Marino is able to carry this team defensively with Chris Letang. Offensively, they do have Crosby and Malkin still. They have Jake Gensel. They don't have a lot of pure offensive depth. So I can't really see this team going all that far in the playoffs, personally. If they even make the playoffs. Right now I have them poised to be 6th. But who knows? Maybe they'll make the playoffs. Maybe. I really don't know. Yeah, we'll find out. Number 5, just barely missing out the playoffs, is going to be the New York Rangers. The Rangers still have some retooling to do. Panarin is going to be an all-star again. He's going to be an MVP for the NHL. How he didn't win this year is beyond me. But Panarin's going to be solid. Zibanejad's probably going to hit 40 goals somehow in 50 games. Ovechkin's going to hit like 100, but we'll get to him in a minute. Spoiler. Lafreniere's going to have a meh rookie season. I still see Lafreniere as being a bust, unfortunately, even if I do like him going to the Rangers. He is going to be a bust. I just see the name Alexis Lafreniere as being a bust, unfortunately. I don't want him to be, but I just see the name as being a bust. Their defense is not great, even though they did get rid of Mark Spohl. They didn't improve it all that much. Their goaltending is going to be a question mark, even though Igor Shesterkin, shockingly, 12 games is not enough to tell you about a goaltender. Rangers fans are delusional, I'm telling you, man. Rangers fans are delusional. They're going to just barely miss the playoffs, I think. Next up, it's going to be a tie between these two teams. Not a tie, but it's going to be really close between these two teams, I think. It's the Washington Capitals and the Philadelphia Flyers. I have the Capitals as the 4th seed. Personally, I think Ovechkin is going to help carry this team. I don't necessarily, actually, I don't know about carry the team, but it's going to be a big question mark as to who leads this team between Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Backstrom. In my opinion, I think those guys are likely candidates. And John Carlson, of course, on the blue line. Their goaltending is decent. Their goaltending is good after getting rid of Braden Holtby and going with I forget, how can I not remember his name? I'm not remembering goaltenders' names right now. Jesus. But their backup from last year, using him as their starter, and yeah, likely using Phoenix Comfley as a third goaltender unless they didn't re-sign him and I just missed it. But yeah, Washington should be a decent team this year, and I think Ovechkin is likely going to hit 60 in 50 games. How? Because it's Ovechkin. It's Ovechkin. He's going to be playing the Sabres, Devils, and Penguins every other night. Of course, he's gonna hit 60 goals. He's gonna get like 4 games every game against the Sabres and Devils. But yeah, honestly, I don't know why I put the Capitals below the Flyers. The Flyers, they have a good goaltending they have a good goaltending tandem with Carter Hart and Brian Elliott. Their defense is decent, even though they did lose Matt Niskanen. It is a question mark at this point. Their offense is still really good if Giroux's able to bounce back and have a solid season. Couturier, Voracek as well. These guys are getting old. They're not going to be around forever. I think they have probably 2 to 3 good years left in them before they do start to decline. So I would like to see the Flyers rebound for sure. Not sure if it is going to happen, though. Next up, number 2 is going to be, in my opinion, the New York Islanders. I think the Islanders are going to have a fantastic regular season. I think going to the conference finals, these past playoffs, really, really helped them out. And I think they found what clicks 100%. Barry Trotz is arguably the best head coach in the NHL. I would say probably the best coach in the NHL. The best head coach in the NHL. The fact that he's taken this team, which on paper looks pretty solid, and turned them into a cup contender because of the structure and style of game that he has them play, is fantastic. Nothing against the Islanders, but Barry Trotz has really, really helped this team, and for the better, for sure. You know, after losing Tavares, they've had to rely on Matt Barzal, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, the young guy, I can't remember his name, not Nemestikov. I can't remember his name, damn it. He's playing third line minutes, I thought. I'm really not good with names. I'm not re-recording this. This is the day it's going up. But yeah, they've had to rely on those guys on the offense, and I think it's going to work really well. Rather Trotz is going to have them play a defensive style of game, or he is going to let them be more offensive. I think Barzal could really pop off this year either way. I think Barzal is going to have a fantastic season if they can even get him re-signed. Of course, is the question. Defense still looks really solid. Pulak and Pelech, even though they unfortunately did lose Johnny Boychuk, I think they could have a solid defensive structure, this team. And I think they have a really solid top 6 on the blue line, even if they do still have Nick Leddy. And in net, of course, running with Silmy and Varlamov and the young guy from Russia. Why can't I remember his name? I can't remember goaltenders' names right now, and it's really making me mad. No, I can't remember his name, unfortunately. People know who I'm talking about. But yeah, running with him, Ilya Sorokin, running with him as the backup. I think it's going to work incredibly well. I think it's going to be really, really good. And the Islanders are going to have a fun season, which of course leaves the last team in the Eastern Conference, or the Eastern Division, the Boston Bruins. They're going to be number 1. Even though they do lose, I believe it was Brad Marchand or Pasternak, one of the two, for the first 3 months of the season. They still look solid. I think they have a good offensive structure, obviously with either Pasternak or Marchand, whichever one isn't injured. Having Bergeron, they do have Andre Kase. They have some good guys who can work offensively, I think, and I think it is going to work well for the Bruins. Defensively, they did lose, as of right now, Chara and Krug. Though Chara, we're pretty much just waiting on him to resign. I don't think he's retired. He is likely going to play. They do still have Charlie McAvoy and Brayden Carlo. I do like what the Bruins have on the blue line, personally. I think it could work wonders for them this year. In net, of course, running with Rask and Halak. that net could end up carrying them in the long run. Having two starters in Rask and Halak could end up really, really helping out the Boston Bruins, and I think it's going to work really, really well this season for the Bruins, and it could potentially lead to a conference finals, unless they end up meeting the Islanders, which in that case, do not pass a go. Now into the Canadian division. These ones, arguably you could say are the most biased, but I'm trying not to put any bias in my season predictions. So people are going to say I'm biased here, but I'm really not. Last place in the Canadian division is going to be the Edmonton Oilers. Even though I do hate the Oilers, it is going to make me smile seeing them at the bottom of the Canadian division. Draisaitl is carrying this team anywhere. However, it sucks that the rest of the team around him sucks and is pretty much no depth. Defensively, they lost their only good defenseman in Oscar Klefbom, which means they're absolutely fucked on the blue line for this season. In net, they're running with Mikko Koskinen. Mikko Koskinen is their starter. No. Draisaitl is going to be the only good player on the Oilers this year, and the Oilers are going to suck because of it. So, good luck, Oilers. You overpaid Mikko Koskinen, and now you can't afford anyone. Up next is going to be the Ottawa Senators. The Senators are going to be better than the fucking Oilers. We can just confirm it now. They added Evgeny Dadonov to the team. They look really solid. Having Brady Tkachuk, or Matthew, they have Brady Tkachuk. Having Brady Tkachuk, having a really young core overall with Josh Norris on the blue line. And their blue line is good. Their goaltending could end up being really solid, I think. What the Senators have right now, I think, is going to really work this year. Even if it doesn't mean making the playoffs, I do think they are going to show a really good future. If Tim Stützle even plays as well, actually, is another good point. Could end up being really, really solid and helpful for this team. I think Stützle is going to have a fantastic rookie season if he is able to come over and play this year. And yeah, the Senators, they should be pretty solid. Up next is going to be the Winnipeg Jets. I do not see them making the playoffs. Keep in mind, these are 7 teams, so Winnipeg is just going to miss the playoffs. Personally, I don't see Winnipeg making the playoffs. I think they have a lot of destructive defensive issues with the team. Connor Hellebuyck is arguably one of the best goaltenders in the league because he has to make up for that defense in front of him, in my opinion. Offensively, the fact that Laine wants out of Winnipeg, and I can't really blame him, who wouldn't want out of Winnipeg, bringing back Paul Stastny, keeping Kyle Connor is a good move, obviously. I don't see Winnipeg making the playoffs, personally. I don't see them making the playoffs. I do think Winnipeg is going to be full of question marks this season, and I don't know if any of them are going to be good question marks. Most of them probably like, can the Jets rebound and make the playoffs? Are the Jets finally screwed? Are the Jets about to relocate to Atlanta? The answer to all of those are no, yes, and yes. Making the playoffs in the Canadian division is going to be the Calgary Flames as the 4th seed, personally. I really like what Calgary is as a team. Sorry. They do have a really solid offense, keeping Johnny Hockey. In my opinion, I think is a bit of an underrated move. Instead of trading him, as rumored, to the Canadiens for, I think it was 15th, Domi, Paling, and something else. Keeping Johnny Hockey is good. Sean Monahan as well. Matthew Tkachuk is an absolute beauty. Love Matthew Tkachuk. Can't wait for him to beat the shit out of Zach Kassian again this year, because Kassian's a piece of shit. But yeah, the Flames, they have decent offense with Mark Giordano still. Good net minding. Adding Braden Holtby, I do like. I do like adding, not Braden Holtby, whoever they added in net. I forget who. But adding a goaltender, I think, works to their advantage, and they could definitely prove that by making the playoffs and maybe getting past the first round, potentially. Third is going to be the Vancouver Canucks, in my opinion. I really do like the Canucks. It is definitely, I think honestly, first in the Canadian division could be a battle between who I have at third, second, and first. I think it could be a really big battle. I think Braden Holtby went to Vancouver, actually. I think they signed him to a 2-year. Yeah, they signed him to a 2-year, I'm pretty sure. I personally think Vancouver looks to improve on last year. Having Holtby and Thrasher Demko in net, obviously, could definitely work for them. I think it will, for sure. Defensively, they look really solid, having Quinn Hughes, Alex Edler, Nate Schmidt. Adding Nate Schmidt from the Knights is a huge advantage, in my opinion. Having an offense of Eric Elias Pedersen, Brock Besser, JT Miller, or JT Miller, they look really, really good on offense, in my opinion at least. They also have young guys like Adam Gaudette, who's just starting to come up. There's another one I can't think of his name for some reason. But overall, the Vancouver Canucks, they look really solid, and I think they can definitely rebound this year off of what they did last year, kind of embarrassing themselves in Game 7 against the Knights, even though Demko tried to keep them in as long as he could. But I definitely think... I definitely think that the Canucks are going to do really good this season. I could see a potential second round appearance for them, depending on who they face in the playoffs, how the playoff structure goes. Number 2 and number 1, this is going to be very weird for me to say. I know a lot of people are going to call it bias already, but I genuinely think these two teams massively improved themselves over the offseason. Number 2, in my opinion, is the Montreal Canadiens. I think the Montreal Canadiens really improved the team, like I said. Adding Jake Allen as the backup to Carey Price is a massive upgrade. Personally, I really, really like the fact that they do have a really solid goaltending tandem that could play 50-50 games. Or since it's only a 50-game season, you give Price, say, maybe 30 games, and you give Jake Allen 20 games, something like that. I really like what they did there. Defense, adding Joel Edmondson and Alexander Romanov, I think definitely is a good move for the Montreal Canadiens to make there. Offensively, adding Josh Anderson and Tyler Toffoli, along with the current core they have with Gallagher and Suzuki, Deneau, Kotkaniemi, Tatar. What they have right now, I think, is fantastic. Montreal, arguably, I think is one of the most offensively deep teams in the NHL, along with teams like Tampa, the Islanders, the Hurricanes, the Avalanche, the Knights. I think Montreal is definitely up there in terms of offensively stacked teams. Their defense is still slightly weak, even though they do have Weber, Petrie. Arguably, people still say Sherrod. I don't see a lot of it personally. But Montreal, I think, is definitely going to be in a big fight with Vancouver and the team in number 1 for the Canadian Division lead. And number 1, if you guys know the NHL at all, you guys will know the last team remaining is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think they are going to finish just barely ahead of the Montreal Canadiens, personally. Like I said, I think it's going to be a really close race between first, second, and third in the division between Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. I think Canadian Division isn't nearly as stacked as people say it is, because Calgary is a 4th seed, and it's kind of going to be like 1, 2, and 3, and the 4th is kind of here. Well, personally, I do think the Eastern Division is going to be the most fun division to watch, because I think as late as the 6th place Penguins could make the playoffs. I think it could be Boston, New York, Philly, and then either Capitals, Rangers, or Pittsburgh. Just rearrange any order of those teams, actually. But Toronto, I think they really improved their team. Adding Joe Thornton and Wayne Simmons, I think it really helps. It adds that grit and the veteranosity that the Maple Leafs have kind of needed, and keep, actually, because they also have Jason Spezza. I think that's going to work really well there. Having a bottom 6 added with Simmons and Thornton, keeping Spezza as well, on really, really good contracts, actually. I think Simmons signed for 1 year, $2 million. I think Thornton signed 1 year, $1 million, and Spezza, I believe he re-signed for 1 year, $700K. I really like what the Toronto Maple Leafs did in the offseason. Obviously, keeping Matthews, Marner, Tavares. Tavares kind of iffy, and Nylander. I really do like, along with them trading out Kasperi Kapanen, somehow getting back 14th or 15th, something like that overall in this past year's draft. Really, really big brain move. Defense, I love I love them adding TJ Brody. You can have a top pairing of Riley and Brody, which is going to look nasty. I think overall the Leafs defense does look really, really solid. And then the net, obviously, having Freddie Anderson with one of 3 potential choices between Campbell, Dell, and I forget if it was Hutchinson or someone else. But the fact that the Leafs honestly look like a potential cup contender this year is nuts. And for the first time in a long time, I don't know how that happens. But you know what? It could end up definitely. It could end up happening this year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen. And I would really like to see the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. So that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, favorite this was not limited to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and everything else. My name is Harris. Subscribe to the Puff Club, subscribe to the Hasty Club, subscribe to the Sub Hub if you remember the Mod Squad. Thank you very much for moderating the chat during the streams and the videos. It is greatly appreciated. Links in the description are my Twitter and my Twitch. My Twitter I don't use all that often. Twitch I want to start using to stream some video games, maybe some NHL, maybe some WWE. I'm not sure what other games I have right now. I'd have to, actually I can just look over here. UFC, God of War, Destiny, Battlefield, whatever. I could stream some of those games potentially. I'll check it out, see how it works compared to YouTube. I'm not really sure. I also have my PayPal, Amazon wishlist, and PO Box inscription. If you do want to send anything my way via PayPal, for example, you will get your name on the big ass not dono board of not donations. It will be in the stream of the next 25 days of Harry video and stream. I do it in both because the stream looks really bad, so I do it in the video just to make it up. If you do want to send anything my way via Amazon wishlist or PO Box, that is greatly appreciated. You will get typically you will get a video of me unboxing whatever it is you send me. However, in the month of December and potentially November for next year, that is something to discuss though. I will keep your boxes, any boxes sent to me or letters on my desk right here, and I will open them on the special 25 Days of Harry Christmas Day live stream. That is right. Whether I have anything to open or not, I will come up here live on Christmas Day for maybe half an hour to an hour or so. Just do a special Christmas Day live stream. Just come up here, say Merry Christmas, have a fun time with my viewers before the final video goes live. Guys. So that is that. It's gonna be fun. Pretty sure. Also, in the description is my Discord. If you guys want to join my Discord, I've been forgetting to plug that. I gotta start notifying it when I upload videos again. I want to try and get a bot that posts every time I go live or every time I stream. It would be greatly appreciated, actually, if I could. Or it would be much better if I could do that instead of having to do it myself. Personally, I really like that. But yeah, the Discord, it's fun. Also in the description is my speedrunning account. Once I get a PS2 controller that works again with my computer, I will start speedrunning and making gaming videos. Or better gaming videos, I'll say. And the final thing in the description is my letterbox. If you guys want to check out, it's where I rate and review movies. Very rarely I'll actually review them. Most of the time I just rate them. I did post a new review recently, even though it is a very joke review. Spoilers alert. Yeah, check it out if you guys want to know what movies I love, unless you'd rather check out the video I made for Christmas Day last year, which may or may not be in my top 100 movies of all time of 2019. Or if you want to wait until the final video of 25 Days of Harry this year, you can check out the top 100 favorite movies of all time of 2020. You can also check it out if you want to know what movies I hate. Might make a video on that in the future. I'm not really 100% sure yet. But yeah, you guys can check that out. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Harry Rice. Again, thank you so much for watching. And again, my name is Harry Rice. And I'm out. Love you all. Thank you for checking out the videos. Peace.